Surround you with people who are sharing the same attitude and will be pushing you also.
This is the Inbound Forecast, a podcast series about inbound marketing and organic growth for B2B companies. Here's your host, Gerald Arcus.
Welcome, Bogdan, to the podcast.
So thank you, Gerald, for having me.
Yes, nice to meet you and happy to have you in the show. We are talking today about, I think, two topics. You are the CMO of SA Ranking. So we are talking about the importance of a platform for SEO and for content marketing. And also a bit about your own marketing approach for SA Ranking. But before we do that, maybe we can start with a short introduction. So who are you? And maybe you can share one thing that most people don't know about you.
Okay, so you mentioned my name is Bogdan Babyak. I'm Chief Marketing Officer at S Ranking, and most people don't know. To be fair, any facts about me are known only to my team and colleagues because I'm not too public. So I will just drop some random facts about me, like I have two cats, I love kite surfing, I don't love spicy food. I don't know. I traveled 10K sea miles on yachts.
That sounds good. Yeah, I don't think you even have LinkedIn, right? Or I couldn't find it.
I have it. Maybe there is like typo or mistake in spelling my surname.
That might be the case. All right. Maybe we can start with the importance of having a platform like SA Ranking. Can you share a little bit about what SA Ranking is, for who, and why you need something like it?
Okay, so SEO Ranking is a professional SEO platform, or it can be called software for SEO professionals that work at agencies and SMBs. Our platform offers tools for automating every major SEO task, keywords like competitive research, content creation, optimization, on-page, off-page optimization, auditing, working with backlinks, local SEO. We have all necessary tools that SEO Pro needs during their work in progress. We actively integrate AI and machine learning technologies into the platform for content creation and finding insights. We even capable of tracking Google SGE snippets as part of our beta testing program. So
That's interesting.
yeah, we're really insightful. And why to use our platform? Like if you take an SEO seriously and you consider it as a part of your marketing mix, definitely we are the best fit for you to empower you with all necessary tools and insights that you will need through this process, like automation or giving you more deeper insights. So something like
All
that.
right, great. And I think content marketing is becoming a bigger part in it as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. We added this like an add-on. We have a complete tool for creating content that will be properly optimized. We compare what content is created by your competitors. We provide you all technical and content data that you need to write an article from scratch or additionally optimize your article. Moreover, we have like an AI assistant that will help you creating this content, like rewriting some blocks or even writing from scratch, and then you will additionally improve it before you add it to your website. So, like additionally, content creators is partly our audience also.
Great. And I think the search generative experience rankings is an important one. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about that. Of course, you have different tools to track rankings in Google, but Google is changing a lot this year, I think. I recently also saw an article on your website about this topic. and about what we can learn from the type of search generative results that you get.
Mhm.
Can you share some more information about this, and also about what the tracking for this means?
Um, like from my perspective, SEO is some kind of reverse engineering attitude. You learn how the machine works, you learn what's ranking factors, and you adapt your strategy. You regroup into that. You prioritize that content types that you see that Google prefers at certain period. And when you're working with SGI, it's like a combined effort. SGI, what we see from right now, what we see right now from our researchers, we see that SG takes results, combines results from top 20 results that you have for a search inquiry, plus it takes articles that are neighboring to this search query. So SG tries to provide you the most comprehensive reply on your search request. And when you working with such entity as an SEO specialist, you should care not only about your website, but the websites that are also in search results. You need to care what they are saying about your brand, about your solution. So when you are working with such with ranking tool that helps you, rank tracking tool that helps you to capture these edgy snippets, you are able to reverse engineer and understand what the machine used as a source of truth to create this reply. Moreover, as it changing, each day the reply can change, regenerated by Google. You need to understand how the machine is changing also. This, you mentioned that this period is like filled with a lot of experiments coming from Google, a lot of significant changes in its attitude. um, the best use case is to keep an eye on what's Google testing, what's Google keeps, and it stays for a longer time, and adapt your strategy to understand what will happen in the end when it will be rolled out to all search engine across the world.
And do you then look at the answer from Google Bart in the results, or also the part about the sources that Google uses that they link to?
Both, because like for both, you first of all you look what exact information Google, how Google interprets, how Bard interprets the results that been crawled, and definitely double check what source has been used for that. So if you build in your strategy, you should take in consideration what changes on other websites, how they are impacting on search results, on reply from Bard.
Yeah. All right. Maybe we can look a bit at your own marketing approach. I think you are doing a lot of great marketing, to be honest, with influencers, and I think you recently launched a new podcast. You are doing a lot of webinars. So I'm not sure how long you have been at the company, but maybe you can take me through the journey about how the company grew and what the marketing approach was along the way.
Okay, so before SEO ranking, I worked like as PPC and SEO specialist in a bunch of businesses. Then I joined as ranking 8 years ago, and as pay-per-click specialist, and then being promoted to marketing lead. I assume through my desire to constantly try something new, like maybe curiosity. And in 2 3 years, became a full power chief marketing officer of the company. So about our past, how the company grew from the start, I assume. Um, it's always a tough question for me, because I assume that for audience it's always more interesting to listen about roller coaster, high stakes, big wings, like mind blowing growth hacks. And I'm feeling that our stories can compare to that a bit dull, maybe.
Yeah,
Um,
but I think a lot of the listeners of this podcast are working at different kinds of B2B companies, and most of them don't have stories like that as well. So I think maybe it's even more valuable to hear real stories.
so the story is like just properly doing your job from day one with each month from the very beginning, with each month of slight growth, our budget incrementally increases and our resources increases, allowing us to gradually expand our capabilities. This disciplined and iterative approach became a cornerstone of our growth strategy. Like my journey as through performance marketing taught me to measure all marketing activities and metrics with metrics that measure in the end of the day, like money, customers, like I don't know, conversion rates. So in the end, you verify all your initiatives, whether how many real customers you are getting. And for me, like as like curious perfectionist, I assume seeing how marketing impacts business growth, like it was super crucial. And I constantly trying to pass such an attitude to the whole team. So whether they are doing something, they constantly should ask themselves what is the impact and verify whether the probability of this impact is high. If yes, then continue. If not, do step back.
But I can also imagine that in a lot of cases you don't know. So, for example, your podcast,
Mhm.
how do you measure that?
Um, that's a good question. Like when you're comparing such initiatives like podcasts, it's always complicated, especially for the person with such background as me, who is like usually get used to measure something trackable. In that case, you should make some kind of bridge, like came out with a metric that will help you to evaluate the quality. It can be potentially converted into money or customers. Usually, such initiatives are long-term investments, and you can see proper results on the long run. But in short term, you need to measure such initiatives with like some quality metrics, amount of quality listeners, feedback loop that you're getting. Because when we changed our strategy through our past, like mainly focusing not on capturing leads, but switching more on generating demand, like creating a podcast, we understood that we need to define the minimum that we need to get from this initiative, amount of listeners, active listeners to measure. So before starting, we define, hey, we want 10K of active listeners each month, for example.
Yeah.
And from this moment, we assume that it will be enough to evaluate on long run how it's impacting. When we hit this number, we like regroup. We collect all data that being generated through this initiative, and evaluate it, analyze whether our assumption was like the good one or not. Because like such an attitude allows you to like fastly regroup when you constantly do like this constant
But
data
it's also
collection.
hard, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
when
yeah.
you start with a podcast, you don't know what to expect, I think. Yeah, when you look at podcast downloads, for example, it's very hard to predict.
Definitely, but when you start from the scratch, you don't have a baseline to measure. Definitely, you can go to the market and ask for, like, "Hey, colleagues, what do you think about that? What's the minimum we need to get to understand that it was an effective initiative or not really?" Um, but when you starting getting additional artifacts of this initiative, like such. Such initiatives that where it's hard to measure something, not like use not bullshit metric like downloads or like just listens, you looking for quality feedback. For example, if you hear that an expert of or a customer or existing customer or potential customer giving you a feedback loop, hey, your podcast was like uh, great, that's a good marker for us that we're doing something properly.
Yeah.
Definitely, it doesn't mean that we need to double our investments. But when you go through the cycle of iterations of creating a bunch of podcasts, you collect this bunch of additional feedback. And in certain moments, it's you understand like, yes, it's enough to continue, or we're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
or we need to eliminate it because we don't have an experience and we don't want to continue, or hey, we see an impact, we're not sure, but we like our trust score for this initiative improved because we gathered all these additional artifacts. You need to collect insight, how customers are mentioning it, whether it's valuable or not, like, and definitely, like, all stands on feedback loop.
Yeah, and do you have systems in place to get this feedback? So, for example, if someone becomes a customer today of your platform, do you ask it, or do you have a form to get more information about how the buyer journey went and which types of content impacted it?
we we want to ask so many questions to our customers that we need just to prioritize what we're asking exactly. We have like a net promoter scores form. That's a good signal for us. Like, when we're getting a bad review or um, yeah, bad review, we like asking what's happened, what's wrong with the journey, what's wrong with the product. Or if we see like a positive feedback or a person is proactive and ready to do a next step and jump on interview, yeah, we proactively try to do that. We using like NPS type forms to collect feedback on the features on our initiatives. Almost all our big initiatives are followed with some kind of feedback forms. But definitely there are more questions that we want to ask, especially like channels. Unfortunately, when you prioritize questions, the question about what channel drove you to, to the product usually is not something like with a high priority.
Yeah.
We planning to conduct some kind of social researches around, like, using maybe our external agency or internal resources that will be focused exactly on, like, where do you see our presence? Do you find it valuable? What's adjectives you use to describe us, etc. That's something that such businesses as we should consider for researching.
Yeah. And do you have a hard split between what you do to build a brand and what you do to generate sales qualified leads or conversions?
Like, it's changed through the history of company. When I joined, like, we mainly been focusing on capturing existing demand. Our market in general is quite mature. It's like red, very red ocean with a lot of mature businesses, with a lot of smaller competitors, and moreover with existing demand, a lot of jobs to be done, to be covered. So we focused in the beginning with capturing all this demand. It's mainly working with like pay-per-click advertising, SEO, maybe channels that allow to capture customers on this phase, when they are considering. Later, when we accumulated enough resources to, like, when we utilized all this potential of these low-hanging opportunities, we started switching to demand generation activities, or like, we understood that in order to prosper on this market, in this community, we need to contribute adequately to it. So we started allocating our resources, like, and budget. In a lot of cases, human resources cost even more than just direct investments, because if you create something valuable for a community, there are a lot of human work, not just sponsoring something. And right now, I assume this is balanced like 60 to 40 of our resources, like 60 is capturing existing demand, while 40% is generating new demand, by generating value for our community, educating how we can close a certain jobs to be done for SEO professionals, or positions related to this, like content creation or pay-per-click advertising or something like that.
Yeah, let's zoom in a bit about on the brand part, because I think you are doing a lot of great things. You create a lot of good content. Um, yeah, maybe we can go through it. So I think webinars is one of them. Can you share a bit of information about your approach there?
Um, we try to create content that we want to consume. That's the main attitude, how we measure, because, like I mentioned, that there are lots of non-measurable things, and quality is usually is like related. It depends. Definition of quality really depends on um, each person own imagine of that. So we came out with definition whether we want to like we see the value into that. We have a verification of our customer that this topic is valuable, and then we, after we have a positive reply on the first two questions, we start going with like this decision. Hey, we need to create a webinar, masterclass, or some kind of another form of content. How we measure that? Definitely amount of audience and active participants, level of engagement, and definitely like engagement then comes often. How like we see that usually customers who are coming to for webinars, visitors who are coming to webinars, they're looking for knowledge. They usually don't
Yeah.
want to be like offering.
Nothing commercial or
Yeah, we continue like offering it because like there are still customers who in considering phase who like already started trial with platform. We have like commercial blocks there, but we understood that we shouldn't measure webinars in such form. We should measure it on the quality, whether the audience find it helpful, because if they find it, they share it, they repurpose it, they even like proactively want to engage in creating some webinar with us, or like something like that. And in the long run, when we're doing it consistently for 2 or 3 years, we started noticing impact, how customers who participated in a bunch of webinars, who found this content quality, their desire to try platform definitely increase. And we see more and more customers who being on webinars start becoming our trials or engaging with our sales team. So this is definitely initiative on the long run. We, as I mentioned, which we measuring this initiative with like this bridge metrics that can be associated with the quality and definitely quantity. Um, and after that, understand that whether we need to continue or need to regroup on a short time.
And how important is the influencer part in the webinars? Because I see a lot of big names from the SEO industry who are doing webinars for you. Yeah, is that an important part of the success?
Ultimately, that's the ultimate part of success. Like um, whether you have an expert in your team or you should bring experts onto to webinars in our market. Like usually influencers are not talking heads, they're practical experts who constantly like trying to contribute to the community. That's
Yeah.
why when we engage with them, when we offer them a platform for sharing this expertise, that's a win-win case for us, because our customers educated, they can prosper through gaining this experience and expertise, and then use it and utilize it within our platform, for example. And if they prosper, automatically we prosper because they expand, they buy additional modules, or etc. So it's both necessary for um, sharing an audience, bringing like trust to the brand. If they know that this expert trusts us, then it means that they potentially can trust us, the
Yeah.
customers. I mean, and like we're lucky because on our market, almost all influencers are those who are real people who are doing real job, not the people who just talking and like offering, hey, this is a new cream I never tried, but you definitely need to use that.
Indeed.
Yeah, because they know
Is it
if they offering to try something, their name is under that, and they will have a reputation issues if they offering something not quality.
Yeah, I agree. Is it hard to build a relationship with these people? Because a lot of them are also very busy, and everybody wants something from them. Or is the win part for them so big that it's pretty easy to make them do a webinar for you?
It depends, really. Depends on the type of influencer. They're not public people who just proven experts on their field. And if they're okay to share their expertise through the webinar, we're happy. But definitely, they're more popular people who are like definitely overloaded. Here, it's like more of partnership because still we our main goal is to contribute to value for our community. So from when we are entering this process from that perspective, um, they see value into that also. They also want to bring a value to community. So it's like a win-win case for us. So they prefer communicating, working with us, rather than answering replies about backlinks or just random mentions. Because we consider it like a partnership relationship. We understand that if influencer engages with us, we want to give him the best experience he can have, or she can have with us. Um, and From that moment, like this influencer share his or her experience to their colleagues on the market, other influencers, and it allows us to expand our network of people who are ready to work with us because we're professionals or we're caring people who value what they're doing. That's why in the beginning it was ultimately hard. Like those people who trusted in us, I'm really thankful to them. But right now it's a bit easier because we're like more well-known brand. Other people understood that when they're engaging with us, they're in caring hands. So um, it's a bit easier right now. But the beginning
Yeah.
was like awful.
I can understand that, and I think for the podcast you have a little bit of the same approach, right? So also work with influencers and create a win-win situation.
Yeah, definitely. Like if we want to not to create just additional terabytes of dull data in the internet. We want to or educate or inspire or I don't know engage with our audience. So yeah, with this attitude, we continue investing into that.
Yeah, and how important is the offline part for you? Because last Brighton, I talked to some of your colleagues who were there with a stand,
Maybe even to
and
me,
sorry.
maybe even to me, or you.
Yeah, I think I talked to Maria, and she
Ah,
gave me the great socks.
yeah.
And in the first of February, so when this podcast is published, I think it will be 8 days from then. I'm doing a B2B marketing, networking event, drinking some beers. You are sponsoring that as well. So, are things like that important for your marketing to be, present in the real world? Real world.
Um, yes, like in that's interesting thing. Like usually when I'm talking to colleagues in the market from the other businesses, they usually measuring events like, hey, how many sales we got? We need to send their sales representatives usually. But we consider events as a good place to for our customers to share their experience personally, so they can communicate to us. They can share in a comfort way what they're happy with or not, we're doing good or not. So it's like a good place for a feedback loop. Then it's a good place to connect with influencers, with partners. So we measuring such activities mainly. We're not expecting to have a sales. Definitely, if there will be a customer who say, "Hey, you do so inspiring pitch on on a booth that we're ready to close the deal," like, hey, like that will be still a really good result for us. But we, as we're trying to engage with the community, we're trying to bring a value to that. So we using offline events as the place for building partnership and relationship with people with whom we will be creating other types of products. So
Yeah,
for
because I think it's working really well. Also for me, because I did already had contact with your colleague, and we were talking about how we might be able to help each other with you sponsoring my event, and then meeting each other. Yeah, it made it easier to collaborate together after that. So I think it's great.
definitely in the world where people like only have pictures and like constant email sending, like this human to human communication is the priceless thing. Usually you can understand what's the person is, what's the unknown facts about this person. So
Yeah, and what I also think is great is I received with the holidays a package from SA Ranking with socks and some other goodies. And but I saw, I think maybe 4 or 5 big names from the SEO industry sharing a photo on X or on LinkedIn or somewhere else. So yeah, also an example of being visible in the real world. I think that's great.
they also understand that for a brand, it's definitely valuable if they will share their experience with audience and their experience of collaborating with us. That's a part maybe in certain way of their job, because they need, as they are public people, they need to share all their experience with the platforms in SEO industry, what insights they're getting, because a lot of people are aligning on them, they relying on their experience. So for
Yeah.
business, building relationship, long lasting relationship, it's crucial when you when you work with influencers who are both experts in their field.
Yeah. And then another question, a different content type, articles. So I was, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was searching in Google for search generative experience. I'm not sure what the query was. I think I was looking for more information about KPIs and how to measure. And then I found a research from you with a lot of great information. So, how important is SEO in your own marketing approach with articles like that?
Hmm. Um, hmm. Really important, the short answer. But when we create a content in general, we do the same attitude as I mentioned with webinar. If we want to consume it, if we want to consume this type of content, if we find it valuable, so we want, like, the best content that work for us is definitely the content related to jobs to be done that can be closed by our platform. Usually, this content performs ultimately good. Then expert content, because like our like SEO community is quite tight, and expertise is the most valuable thing here. And like really good expert articles that help you boost in business from on like even long run or short run. When you measure metrics, you see that it's valuable for us also, because customer starting considering us as a good partner who can share another additional experience and knowledge to them, because we offer not only the tool set, we offer the whole ecosystem of knowledge, of supportive materials. We try to make your life simpler as a professional, so you can create an awesome products and your or the rest of your time. So we mainly rely on such strategy. Definitely there like additional value in like high volume articles, like what is SEO, or some really um, basic topics. But usually we see that it's not too valuable. There are billions of businesses who rely on the volume, who have significant traffic, but in the end of the day, they are not becoming customers, because it's like usually such information can be covered by anyone else, or
Yeah.
even SGE, especially if you are not providing additional layer of expertise, additional layer of your experience. There is no value on your content. It can be copied, replaced, rewritten by anybody else. So yeah, it works
Yeah,
like expert content works best.
indeed. And when you look at channels or platforms that you use,
Mhm.
which are the most important ones to reach your audience, to build relations, and to create impact?
So like Google, one of the most crucial things because like that's obvious. Then social networks, definitely, that's for sharing different types of contents usually consumed by users who on mobile phone. Um, YouTube for sharing visual component of expertise, and hmm,
Are people so, for example, how tos and things you for which video is great? Is that an important yeah content type for you? Do you see that your audience is looking a lot for that?
when you comparing such channels with like such giants like Google, definitely there can be not like listed like as a top priorities. Like we have this bunch of capturing existing demand, and other 40% of our initiatives that is a combination of all this channel. I cannot say that YouTube by itself works. It
Yeah,
works in combination of repurposing content. It can be both like you mentioning in Spotify or other broadcasting tools for podcasts. Moreover, it's earned a media as like journals, um, offline events, something that we don't own. Moreover, the same impact we see from owned channels like webinars, our own academies that we create for professionals and maybe newbies in certain manner, with like our own podcasts or expert materials and researches that we share. So when we get to the moment of like measuring what an platforms and channels works on this demand generation phase, um, usually depends on type of content that we want to share, and from that moment we define what platform and channel we use to deliver this content, something like
yeah,
that. Does it make sense?
yeah, yeah. It does, and I think it's also very hard to measure, of course. And in a lot of cases, I think it's a lot of different platforms combined that play a role in a buyer journey. Like I said, I saw your article in Google. I saw you at Brighton SEO. I saw a few LinkedIn posts of influencers that you work with. Chantal, my colleague, was doing a webinar for you. So all of these things combined make for me that you are a strong brand and a company that I can trust. And yeah, when I become a customer, then it's very hard to say which platform had which role in that buyer journey. I think.
Yeah, like that's the best definition how we write our strategy in general. You start with the main thing, like you should be visible, people should be able to find you and like know that you exist, and then layer by layer you adding value. Like first you start with content that you own, with articles, then you engage with influencers, um, and in this case these layers are really difficult to measure. And as I mentioned, you create some kind of metrics that will be a definition of quality, because quantity in some way you can measure, like reach or amount of listeners or something like this. But quality is a crucial. When you have this metric that you rely on, you verify whether this initiative or cooperation with this influencer was effective according to this metrics. Like, hey, this person is engaging, he's sharing expertise, he's not bullshitting, for example. Like
Yeah.
that's a measurement for quality with collaboration with influencer, or as a podcast, for example, how many people are engaging, sharing, listening proactively, and something like that. Yeah. After that, when you measure each layer like that separately, in the long run, when you build in this attribution model, you see, hey, wow, that's webinar, wow, that's academy. So you see the impact of all these channels, but on the short term, you rely only on this qualitative, quantitative combined metrics.
Yeah, I understand. What are your most important KPIs that you are looking to a few times a week?
Money, amount of customers, MRR, NDR.
Yeah,
To be fair, I try to train all my team to work with such metrics, not to rely on like I don't know clicks, CTR, because in the end, not amount of trials matters. Amount of trials that truly became our customers, because you can like launch campaign a lot of people who even don't understand what you're offering, subscribing and then not becoming customers. They don't see the value of the platform. So what we try to find the most highest metric closer, which is closest to the money or customers. Um, yeah, like for performance channels, it's easier.
yeah,
For definitely the demand generation channels, like that are building awareness, that's harder. And here we like coming out with creating some internal metrics that will, hey, we know that this type of content on the long run brings X. So let's assume if we will do the same 3 times, we'll have 3X approximately.
yeah,
Um, and this will mean that we will get like on a long run 10 customers, something like this. So we constantly try to create an understanding internally that in the end we don't care about likes, I don't know, shares, reposts. If um, we care about like effectiveness in general. So in the end you
yeah,
constantly should verify that's impactful or not.
yeah. And I think a lot of companies also have that mindset, but then only do the short term lead gen things. I think it's great that you are also doing a lot to build a brand. And of course, it should create revenue at the long term. That's for every company, I think.
More customers are coming in direct or like brand channels. We understand that these customers are coming from all other channels combined together with experience of like even existing customers who became in advocates and sharing their experience somewhere.
Yeah. Then I want to shortly look at SA ranking for B2B companies because I think for a lot of, for example, e-commerce companies, B2C companies, SEO is very important. Also for a lot of B2B companies, but for B2B companies, you also see that building real life relationships is very important. For example, for agencies, sometimes SEO is less important, but content marketing is important for them. We talked about it a little bit at the beginning of this conversation, but um, for companies who are in that situation, is the content marketing part of your platform interesting to look into and to use, even if SEO isn't that important?
That's a bit controversial thing. As a person from SEO market, I see, like if you create a content, you want to deliver it in any case. Except SEO, you have like social channels, I don't know, emails, and physical newspapers. I don't know, something
Yeah,
like. But people, after even engaging with your content, potentially want to get back to it. Not all people are keeping it in their holder or adding them to bookmarks. So they will try to search for this content. And if you are not there, and if your content is not visible for this search and search query, so you lost your prospect. And moreover, your competitors can be ready to capture it. They can provide even more insightful research on that search query or create a page that will cover this demand that you already created. Definitely, there are lots of businesses that rely on like offline relationship, but uh, if you uh, like customers still want to find you, they will check your reputation, they will google you. That's a good uh, good action to do after you meet somebody, like double check whether this person don't have a crime records. I don't know. That's like what's the internet knows about that business or this person. So as you should be a part of brand strategy. You should be visible on your brand search. You should control what you share, and you should answer the questions of your potential customers and partners through. SEO. And when we're talking about platform and creating content for these purposes, if you want to share your content through the web, you should create it uh, in the manner that search engine will consume it. So in any case, creating content is better to do it through tools that assist you to make it competitive and visible in the search results. Moreover, Google is smart machine. If you create something that will you rank higher, usually it's a good type of content that can be shared with humans. So like personally, as a person who works in the SEO market, I found like tools like content module, competitor research tool very valuable, even if you are not proactively engaging with SEO. It's like
Yeah, so maybe I'm a good example. I have an SEO background, but for myself, my own marketing is mainly creating podcasts, videos, LinkedIn posts. And I think a lot of the features I can still use for that part, right? Because I'm doing content marketing and maybe I want to look at competitors and get some interesting insights and content IDs and maybe some help with content writing. So even if SEO isn't my main yeah
first,
marketing pillar.
you firstly should check whether your competitors not doing SEO, their marketing pillar. You can do that through computer research. You just input their domain or your domain and check who's your competitors, who's ranking for your keywords. You check the keywords, who is ranking for that keywords, what's the competitive landscape. If you understand that everybody like you, then definitely you switch just to content creation. Or if you did see that you losing a lot of opportunities here because your competitor is creating additional type of content, they're prospering from that. So from that moment, you starting utilizing the whole platform. If just to stick to the content creation, definitely you use the our add-on that helps you create any content that potentially will also compete.
Yeah. All right. I have a last question for you. Um, oh wait, before we go to the last question, I think
Mhm.
we have time for one more question about this. Can you share a little bit of information about your content process? Because I think it can be quite complex with all of these different content types. So, what does the process look like to create what you are creating?
The content process looks like it's combination of minimum two persons, like SEO expert and content specialist. First of all, SEO expert define whether this topic is supposed to be covered. We can contribute to create something new, add additional layer of expertise to that question, conduct a research, provide the basic information that will help to content specialists navigate through all this information. Then, as a next step, content specialists take this technical assignment, I don't know, and do his or her own research till the moment they will become even better experts in that topic than an SEO expert in this exact topic. And from that moment, they create an article or research or infographic or something like that, because we understand that we want to share an expertise. It's crucial for us, and we try to replicate this attitude. And it's only possible when we attract people with expertise to cooperate with people who are capable of packing it into the product. And definitely, I'm talking more about creating articles. But when it comes to creating like an academy or course or I don't know, webinar, they're also the same collaboration. Like content specialists creating like layout, then it passed back to SEO specialist. They collaborate. They define whether we should focus on that. On that, this topic is usually not covered. We should add it to that. So
Yeah.
um, that's expensive and hard to measure such process, but as we understand that we, in the end of the day, we also want to consume such content. It's supposed to be valuable to all our team. We need to have this process of constant expert sharing loop, where
Yeah.
content specialist, till the moment when content specialist became an expert, it means that article that this specialist will create or other content base will be helpful enough to make other people to increase their knowledge to the same level of content specialist.
Yeah. All right. Thanks. Then the last question: if you could go back in time 10 years with a time machine, what advice would you give yourself?
Oh, 10 years, it's 2014.
Yep.
Okay, so the first, super basic, just personal advice, like buy Bitcoin. Then, second one, that's a personal opinion of me as a Ukrainian. Uh, Again, my personal opinion. Don't trust Russians.
Yeah.
And from professional standpoint, don't be afraid of making big steps. Like when you're protective, trying to make shorter, controlled things, you're losing a lot of opportunities. You don't have too much time to learn through your experiment and iteration. So make a bigger steps. Combine a lot of complex things into one initiative. Don't play with the color of CTAs or like I don't know one picture or fonts. Try to do a massive change that will impact and surround you with people who are sharing the same attitude and will be pushing you also, who will help you to be curious, to keep your curious on a high level, because like we're humans, we have ups and downs. The moment when you're afraid to do something or exhausted, but when you're surrounded by such people who are also want to try something new, they want to try something new, they engage you like in they I don't know, motivate you to continue in such pace. Because
Yeah.
when you combine, when you surrounded by such people, you constantly pushing your limits, going out of your comfort zone. So that will be a great advice if I started doing in such a like doing such manner. Maybe his ranking would be bigger by this year.
All right. Great advice. Thanks a lot for the nice conversation.
Thank you too.
And thanks, of course, for the drinks for the people who are listening this. I think this podcast will be published on the 24th of January, and on the 1st of February we have the B2B marketing bottle. You can go to inboundforecast.com to fill in the form and go there and have free beers from SA Ranking. So thanks for that.
Cool. Thank you for having me. It was really good. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Inbound Forecast. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or in your favourite podcast app.